there's two aspects of business and its interaction with the environment that I'm interested in. One is the impact of business on the environment and the impact of environment on business. So as the climate changes, as things like water scarcity, severe weather events, lack of energy security, lack of food security impacts the business has to be aware of those and plan strategically and tactically on how to handle that, and not just assume that everything's going to be fine, particularly in some of the difficult countries in which we work in. On the other end, of course, the company has a responsibility as God's steward of creation to treat the environment with respect and be responsible not only for good quality products and services, but to ensure that they leave the air clean, the water clean, and use waste minimization practices where possible.
Our God is a God of wealth creation from the offset. Everything that He creates, in the garden and everything, those carries values, and those also sustain livelihood. And then He created man and women to manage that, to administer that, and they have the responsibility to take good care of those. That's the stewardship part. And then a garden is to be maintained. A garden needs to be having a good gardener to maintain it. And how you can be a good gardener in the business, be a good manager.
We are to have an economic goal and an environmental goal from Genesis 1:28. We call that the Great Commitment. God has committed the earth to us, and we in turn are committed to being fruitful and multiply, filling, reigning, and subduing. That is the work He has given us to do. We are to take what He has given, add value to it, and then Genesis 2:15 says that we are to work and to care for creation.
Of course, we have to steward God's environment, and that will look different for different companies. Sometimes it's relatively simple, like turning off the lights, replacing your generator with solar power, something that has less impact on what you're doing. Other times it's a very positive thing that you're doing, building new energy, green energy opportunities, building all sorts of different things, water treatment, plastics recycling, whatever. Those are active technologies that I'm trying to help promote as well. But that environmental bottom line can look quite different, but it's an important part to always remember the first commandment, the cultural mandate, and apply that to your firm.
Millions and millions of people living in very difficult circumstances. What kinds of solutions can get to the roots of these problems, and what are God's people doing about that? So that led me to a conviction that marketplace solutions really are catalytic in providing that hope, especially when led by people who love Jesus and are seeing that as an outworking of their calling where He's placed them.
There's such great need out there, and I've seen, particularly in the areas of unreached people groups, that they often suffer from water scarcity, from bad air pollution, and from really poor soils. And so what I'm promoting businesses to do is bring solutions to those. We think that's a perfect opportunity to not only meet the physical needs of the people we love, but it gives them a platform on which to then present the good news.
Creation care is really important in the work that we do because it reflects God's love of His creation. And often this is in places where there is degradation of the environment, or there's a lack of concern for what downstream effects can look like for neighbors, for these entrepreneurs to say, I'm conscious of this. I'm asking the Holy Spirit to show me what this should look like in my company. These are all really positive steps for honoring God with the stewardship that we have, but also really caring about neighbors. And this has very practical impacts on poverty and on people's quality of life. And again, we think gives opportunity to share the hope that we have when people say, you're doing this so differently. Why are you so thoughtful about everything that you do?